Goliath. All through the reign of King Saul, there was a constant war between the Philistines, who lived in the lowlands lying in the west of Israel, and the Israelites. Among the many wars fought between them, one battle was fought in the valley of Elah. During this time, David, who had been anointed by Samuel, was still a shepherd. His three older brothers, however, fought for King Saul. It so happened that every day a giant came out of the camp of the Philistines and challenged someone to come from the Israelites' camp to fight with him. The giant's name was Goliath. He was 9 feet high and he wore an armor from head to foot. He carried a spear twice as long and as heavy as any other man could ever hold. He also had a shield bearer who walked before him. Every day, Goliath came and shouted across the valley, "I am a Philistine and you are servants of King Saul. Now choose one of your men and send him to fight with me. If I kill him, then you all shall submit to us, and if he kills me, then he will submit to you. Come now, send out your man." But no man in the Israelite army, not even King Saul, dared to go out and fight the giant. At that time, the Israelites were mostly farmers and shepherds. They were not at all fond of war like the Philistines. Very few Israelites had arms like swords and spears. For 40 days the camps stood against each other, and the Philistine giant continued his call for a fight. One day, old Jesse, the father of David, sent David from Bethlehem to visit his 3 brothers in the army. David came, met his brothers, and gave them a present from their father. While he was talking to them, Goliath, the giant, came in front of the camp like every day, challenging someone to fight with him. When the Israelites heard this, they longingly said to each other, "We wish someone would go out and kill this Philistine, and if he did, the king would give him a great reward that is a high rank, and the princess would become his wife." Meanwhile, David came out of his camp and said, "Who is this man who speaks in such a proud manner against the army of God? Why doesn't someone go out and kill him?" Hearing this, David's brother Eliab was angry. He said, "David, what are you doing here leaving your sheep in the field?" But David did not care for his brother's angry words. He thought of some way to kill this proud giant. Soon, he knew how to bring down the big warrior with all his weapons and armor. After a while, David said, "If no one will go, I will go out and fight this giant." They brought David before King Saul, who was surprised to see David. Saul said, "You cannot fight Goliath. You are very young and he is trained man of war." Hearing this, David told Saul, "Though I am only a shepherd, I have fought with lions and bears when they have tried to steal my sheep, and I am not afraid of fighting Goliath. The Lord has saved me from the beasts, and he will save me from this enemy as well." Then King Saul put his own armor on David, a helmet on his head, and a coat on his body, and a sword at his waist. But David said, "I am not used to fighting with such weapons. Let me fight in my own way." David knew that he would not need an armor but a quick eye, a sure aim, and a whole heart. And all these David had, for God had given them to him. David quickly took his shepherd's staff in his hand, as though he would use it as a weapon. But hidden in his bag, under his mantle, he had 5 smooth stones in a sling. The weapon he knew how to use extremely well. Then he came out to meet Goliath. Seeing young David, the giant laughed at him. He said mockingly, "Am I a dog that this boy comes to me with a staff? I will feed his body to the birds and the beasts." But David answered him coolly, "You have come to fight against me with a sword, a spear, and a dart, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. Today I will strike you down and take off your head. The countless Philistines who will die will be eaten by the birds and the beasts. Everybody will know that there is God in Israel, and that He can save in other ways besides with sword and spear." Saying this, David ran towards Goliath as if to fight him with his shepherd's staff. But when he was near him, he took out his sling and shot a stone, aiming it at the giant's forehead. David's aim was good as the stone struck Goliath on his forehead. Goliath was terribly hurt and he fell to the ground. Meanwhile, the two armies stood scarcely understanding what had caused the giant to fall so suddenly. Then David ran forward, drew out the giant's own sword, and chopped off his head. At once, the Philistines knew that their great warrior, whom they trusted, was dead. They turned to escape to their own land, but the Israelites chased them and killed them by hundreds and thousands, even to the gates of their own city of Gath. And so, David was victorious and was acknowledged before all as the man who had saved his people from their enemy, the Philistines.